Hey guys, I appreciate you stopping by. So I want to talk about the steps I took and that I'm still taking to prepare for van life. Where to start? So I guess it was spring of 2018, the first time I had ever heard of this lifestyle. I was on the internet searching for a cheaper way to live or a cheaper lifestyle. You know, for years I've worked 6 days a week, up to 60 hours a week, stuck in an apartment lease that's very expensive, in a car lease, and I was looking for a way out of it all. I had already started selling off a lot of things that I had accumulated and embracing a more minimal lifestyle. But I was searching the internet and I came across this guy that looks like Moses out in the desert in his van with his solar panels and his battery bank and his little camp stove. And I was like, man, this looks amazing. But I'm not moving to the desert. I was wondering then, couldn't you do that lifestyle in the city? And then I came across some of the YouTube guys that are doing it. One that comes to mind, I think they're in Canada. There's several in the US too, but the ones I like for some reason are in Canada, around Vancouver. Timothy Keller, Van Dweller, and Chrome, Van City Van Life, I think. These guys are living in a city in their van, and I'm sorry if I'm forgetting the name of the guys that's doing it in the States. Another one I like is a static camper van. I think he's in California or somewhere out west, but he's working a full-time job. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep a job. The goal is just not have to work 6 days a week, 60 hours a week, 3 or 4 days a week, living in the city, in the van. And that sounds very attractive to me. So let's move forward from the first time I'd ever heard about it was the spring of 2018. Let's go to, now it's July. My apartment lease is ending. But I haven't found the van. I only get 1 day off a week. It's just not enough time, so I had to make a decision. Do I renew this lease or just try to jump straight into a van? And there was so much to do to understand how to make it work. What I ended up doing was I found a cheaper apartment just a mile up the street, so I went ahead and came up here with the intention of doing a 6-month lease that would give me time to get everything in order. But they wouldn't do a 6-month lease. They'll only do a 1 year. So I did it. End of July, I signed another year lease with an apartment. But it's cheaper. I'm saving about $200 per month versus the other place. So once I got settled, end of July, I started thinking, okay, now how do I get out of my car lease? It was a Honda Accord car lease. So I find out there are lease buyout plans, and I was in good shape. I was above water on my lease. It was a year-old car with only 3,000 miles on it. I never drove the thing. So I found a van that I wanted, went and talked to the guy. It was at a dealer lot. And I said, I think your price is reasonable. And it really was. If you will buy out my lease, we got a deal. And we haggled over it for a while, but turned out it worked. I got the van. Stayed there. I had saved up enough to buy it cash. But I went ahead and financed it anyway because I like options. I could pay it off early if I wanted to. And I ended up doing that. So here it is, September. I get the van. In December, I decided to go ahead and pay it off. I had the money, and it's going to end up saving me about $4,000 in interest. So that was a good decision, but it wiped out half my savings to pay it off. It's a 2017 GMC Savannah 2500 with only 13,000 miles on it. So this van will last 15 years for sure. These vans are well known for going 300,000 miles, so I got a good vehicle, and it's paid for. So we're up to December now when the van's paid off. Here it is, January 10th, when I'm making this video. I have since got my mail situation covered. I know how to buy a service from UPS store that will give you a street address, and they will forward your mail wherever you are, or you can just drive by there and pick it up. You can call in and find out what mail or packages you have, and it's a reasonable price. So let's recap. Starting in the spring of 2018, I first heard of van life. In July, I had to do another apartment lease. In September, I found the van. In December, paid off the van. And when I got the van, I got rid of the lease car. That's what I was so worried about, is how am I going to get out of this lease? It was a 3-year lease, and I was only a little more than a year into it. So it worked out great. He paid off what I owed on the lease, and I bought the car, or bought the van. And that was one of my biggest obstacles that I thought I would never get over. I thought I was going to be stuck in that car lease, but it worked out. So here it is, January. I have until the end of July before this apartment lease is over. And I'm going to have everything set. You know, I've already got the van built out. I'm not going to go into details. I only had 1 day a week to work on it, since I work 6 days a week. So it came along very slowly, but it's done. I don't really need anything else. I've got a device coming in, but I can charge my deep cycle house batteries while the van's running from the alternator. That's going to come in soon, and I'll install that. But I've got solar panels. They're portable, foldable. I can attach them to the roof when I want to with magnets, and when I want to take them off, I can take them off. It's set, so the steps they seemed insurmountable, kind of. If I would have had a few more months at my old apartment, I could have said goodbye when that lease was over and could have been living in the van and keep my job until I found another job that wouldn't have to pay as much. 3 or 4 days a week is plenty. And I've got to, I don't want to work my life away. 6 days a week, 60 hours a week. This has been going on for years. And that's what got me searching for another way of life. So I will stay in Nashville even when my lease on my apartment ends. I will continue working my current job for at least another month. It's a well-paying job, and with the overtime, I must say I would have never been able to save up enough to pay that van off so quickly if I hadn't worked those hours. But there's no end in sight, so something's got to give. So I'm not moving out to the desert with Bob Wells. He's the guru. He's got a lot of great information on his YouTube channel. But yeah, he was the first guy I saw. Moses out in the desert leading his people with solar panels and vans. It was great. But I'll be a city van dweller. Now I'll go out camping in the desert a few days at a time, take a few weeks off, go out there, come back, but I'm not going to live out there. But that's all the thoughts I had. I guess the reason I'm making this video is for some that are in a situation, you're in a car lease, you're in an apartment lease, you got to give it time. You got to figure out, how am I going to set the van up? How am I going to work? What job am I going to have? Mailing, getting an address, figuring out which gym you're going to use for showers. It's a lot to deal with, and I know a lot of people have said just get the van and jump in it and figure it out. But if you're stuck in an apartment lease, do not do that. You'll ruin your credit if you leave an apartment early. And plus they're going to come back on you, and they're going to get that money eventually with interest. So stay in your apartment until the lease expires. But if you're in a leased car, you can get that bought out if you work a deal with someone who has a van at a dealer that you want to buy. So that is a positive thing. You're not stuck in a car lease after all. So that's about it. We'll make another video soon to show you the latest and greatest improvements I've made to the van. I've got my water source up where it's gravity fed now. It's way better with the sink. It's great. I don't have to pick the jug up every time I need it. But anyway, thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. Take care. Bye.